The Stuck at Home Photography Challenge, Day 2. Hey gang, here we are, Day 2, the Stuck at Home Photography Challenge. I'm really enjoying the images that you folks are posting online and tagging me in and posting in my Facebook group. Awesome work. Let's keep it up though. We got a long haul here, right? So today, my subject is not going to be these blinds. Full disclosure, I wanted it to be these blinds. Early in the morning, I get really cool light coming through these blinds and really cool light on this edge of the window back here. But because I'm not a morning person, it's now a little bit later in the morning and now the lines are gone and the light's not as cool. So I'm still going to work here. But I'm going to photograph one of my favorite subjects right now, my bottle of hand sanitizer. There it is, okay? So I love the color, right? It's one of those colors that I can play with. And the reason why I decided to stay here in this spot is because there's some interesting light going on, and these blinds, which are kind of like a light brown, that means I've got oranges and I've got yellows in there that I can play with in the hues and saturations. Because remember, for abstract is my chosen genre for this challenge. You can choose any genre you want, but I can go ahead and I can really tweak and I can juice those colors. So today I'm going to be shooting primarily with the Olympus, the OMD EM1 Mark III. I've got the 60mm macro on today. So this is a 2.8 macro lens. Remember, for you full frame shooters, 60mm means it's actually a 120mm macro lens. Also, you might notice the cord coming out. I'm not shooting tethered. Well, I'm tethered, but not in the usual sense. I'm using this little gadget here. This is a Ninja Adamus 5 recorder. It's got a 1 terabyte solid state drive in it, but what it's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me to record everything that the camera sees so that you can see it, as if you're looking through the viewfinder with me while we're shooting. So I've got this cool green color that I want to work with, and really what I am thinking, and yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. I can go ahead and I can play with this because of the way the light's coming through the windows. You can see on the sill here that I've got these very random light pieces that are coming through the blinds, and I can adjust them and I can make it more or less. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bit less. And I'm going to just play around with creating some random angles for where the light hits. And I'm really, I'm looking for interesting shapes, and I'm looking for interesting placement of the shapes in my frame. I'm looking for stuff that's going to be different and unique. That's it. And again, because of having those blinds behind it, I'm also adding kind of a level of additional color to the scene that is going to be pretty fun to play with, actually. There we go. And gang, really what I'm doing, I'm exploring, right? I'm just kind of going through this and looking for different shapes, different angles, I mean, let's face it, we got the ability here, especially with these lines even, to do a lot of different kind of diagonals and things like that. When you're doing something like this, all you need to start out with is to be interested, to say, hey, that's kind of cool. Like, I wonder what I could make from it. And then the challenge is explore. Notice I'm not just going to take one frame and then I'm done. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep playing. And like yesterday, my goal is to have one shot. It may just be one shot by the time I'm done. I don't know. But in the end, it could be a couple of shots. We'll see. All right? So I'm going to let you guys watch. I'll spit out a little bit of information along the way, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shoot this thing. Here we go. Right out of the box, one of the things that I just noticed as soon as I told you all that, this thing's kind of dusty. So I'm going to grab something to wipe it down. I didn't notice the dust until I changed the light. And not that it's bad, but it's there. So this will save me having to do, any post-production to move stuff like that off or out of the shot, okay? So we'll do that. There we go. I got that down there again. And let's go back to this now and see what we get. Oh, try some vertical stuff here. Just move my focus spot down a little. There we go. I'm gonna try shooting straight down onto this thing. And again, I know that a lot of photographers would be tempted to say, well, you know, what about using focus bracketing, focus stacking? I could, but I don't want that much in focus. I really want to work with very, very shallow depth of field. Remember, my goal with the abstracts is to make images that aren't immediately obvious what you're looking at. And it's not that it's bad to use focus stacking or focus bracketing. It's all a matter of what are you trying to accomplish with the shot. In my case, I don't actually want that much in focus, right? So that's kind of where I'm using and making that decision. Digging that a lot. Let's make an angle there. That's cool. There we go. As I move this thing in and out of the light, I get a lot of really cool variations on it. I'm going to try and get those blinds in the background a little brighter now, just to see what that does for my colors. And I'm going to bring it in a little closer to the blinds. Not really digging that as much as I thought I would. Yeah, so we're going to close them back down just enough to get a little bit of light. And we're going to keep playing here. I've got a couple shots that I'm really kind of digging, but I want to go a little further yet. That's it. What do I get if I... Oh, there's a spring in there. That's kind of cool. Wow. All right. So I'm kind of liking that, but it needs some color. So what can I use here? Let's see. I'm kind of looking around my house, and this might just work. This is my Apple TV remote control. I've got like an orangey red protective piece on it. I'm going to hold that right behind what I'm working with here. Okay, so let's move the focus spot over. There we go. And, ooh, that's interesting. Yes, that's like very interesting. Okay. I'm going to keep playing with these textures here and see what we get. Okay. So while we're at this, which side's my focus spot on? There it is. Let's bring it over to there. Good. Dip that again. it is. Oh, and I missed it. I missed it. Let's try another one. See if we can get that water drop, right? So it does not really want to hang on when it comes out. So now that I've got stuff on my hands, let me clean that off. Okay. And I think, let's take a look at the bottom. That's interesting. Oh, that's a cool set of lines there. I'm kind of digging that. Interesting. Working really abstract stuff now because it's not necessarily getting a clean focus point, but we're playing here. Move that focus spot over right to there. Cool. Let's try one more thing here. Yeah. All right, I think I have got a good round with the Germ-X. The back of this, I'm finding kind of interesting. So I'm just going to play with one quick set of shots here. Maybe this will be my bonus for the day, my bonus shot, right? All right, gang, so I've got 137 images from today. And, that entire session took all of about, 10 to maybe 15 minutes tops to shoot. So just like I did yesterday, I'm going to go through here in Bridge and take a look at what I have and, mark off the ones that I am interested in. I am noticing that early on, I should have cleaned that bottle much sooner. You can see here the dust really, really shows up. So if I was going to use one of these, I would probably go ahead and take the time to clean things up a little bit. But these first shots also, remember, these are the ones where I was really just kind of trying to get a sense of, wow, you can really see the dust there, right? I was just really trying to get a sense of what opportunities existed with this subject. So here's where I first came back to shooting after cleaning off the dust. I definitely kind of like the angled stuff, and as we've talked about, remember this, I'm gonna go to town on the color and the saturation, really probably make this pretty extreme. And yeah, so this first pass, I'm going to go through here fairly quick. I love that detail on the stem, the little, kind of screw head type detail there. And
That's kind of interesting. Go. Actually like these diagonal ones quite a bit. Here's where I open the blinds to try and get, a lighter background, and of course to be able to pull that color out later, but honestly I'm just not digging it with a lighter background. So I went back to kind of the more contrasty version. This spring on the inside was like interesting to me. So that kind of got me started down that path, but then added in the red. I think the problem here on these first couple shots is I backed up a little bit more. So I've actually got a little too much depth of field going on. And by the way, I noticed I'm hitting 5s and 7s and 8s. I'll go back and I'll catch all those up as soon as we get through this first pass so that they're all the same, same marking. I'm not actually trying to separate them yet. So I apologize if you were keeping track of what I was hitting. Here's the drip shots from inside. So remember, this stuff here, this was all handheld. Like, I was holding the spigot to the bottle, holding the camera. A little bit of practice, a little bit of paying attention. You can do a lot of cool stuff. You really can. But you never know until you try. I actually really like the abstract flavor of these because when you look at this, there's just no way that you get a sense of what it is or what it is you're looking at. I find them kind of interesting. I also like that little alcove that's there in the bottom of the lid where it latches on. It's kind of cool. Nice and clean there. It's another round where I tried the window open. Not really digging that. And yeah, so here's the ones that I did of just that rubber grip on the Apple TV remote, which was kind of interesting. And these, so I cheated. You didn't get to see these. These are actually close-ups of my video light that I was using to add some light into the scene that I was shooting with. So I probably won't process these today because I'll save them for when you can actually see me shoot it. But let's escape out of there. So now I kind of made the mistake here. I've got some blue ones and I've got some with 5s. So what I want to do here, first take all the blue ones and make them red, since red is my kind of go-to starting point. Take all the 5s, make them red, get rid of the 5 number. All right, so that first like 138, I've got it narrowed down to 68 on first pass. And so now we're going to go through again. And this time, unfortunately, it's a little bit more random, but I'm actually going to go from the end. Again, I'll ignore the LED lights for today. And I'm going to use, because I think this is going to take me a couple more passes than yesterday, I'm going to use number 4s here as far as making my selections on this pass. You use whatever system works for you. There's no rule. There's no, oh, you have to do it this way. So don't ever let yourself fall into that trap. The way that you have to do it is the way that makes the most sense for you so that you can keep track of your work. Kind of digging that there. There's something about that bottom of the bottle I just actually really like it because I know that I can really play with contrast and that on that. And that one we'll grab there. The drip's kind of interesting. Actually, that drip's better, so let's go back and take that one off. That one might even be a little better yet, too. I don't know. There's something interesting about these, but I'm not sure that I've really got a working image there. So we'll come back. Let's look at a couple more of these. I actually really liked those angles right there. Even that one's kind of interesting, as is that. There we go. I really thought I was going to like these ones looking down kind of the top of the spout, but actually not doing it for me at all. And look at that dust. Whew, see, that's why you got to pay attention to details, gang. It's all about the details, right? All right, so now that I'm there, let's bring up just the four. So I got it down from that 68 down to 17. So we're getting closer. So easy one here is let's decide if I'm going to do anything with these reds. Hands down, it's number 14 that works for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that one yellow, and we're done with that one. Other ones where I've got two to look at. I think ultimately, as they sit here, I like 85, the top one, better. But I also realize that when it comes to post-production, let me close that. Number 90, the one that's a little bit brighter on the screen, that's the one that's actually going to give me more to work with. So I think we're going to go there. Let's deal with these two here. Definitely I've got more to work with in this first one, number 68. Or 66, sorry. I'm going to hit that one out of the two water drops. For me, I'm kind of liking the longer drip, but admittedly, I do like having a little bit more of the tube. So I think 77 is going to be my one there. And these images of like just the spout, I must say that I think overall, the one that I feel like I can do the most with is this number 51. So I'm going to hit that one there. Come up and look at these first two also. Yeah, for now we'll keep 37 in the mix. And let's see, I ignored these two. You know what? Maybe we'll keep 98 in the mix. So now I'm down to 7. And yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right out of the box, I'm not actually that stoked with these, but we're going to work with them, right? We set out to make a picture today. We're going to work with them. So I'll start by going ahead, since nothing's like jumping at me and saying, oh my God, you're there, right? I'm going to go ahead, like I did yesterday, I'm going to open up everything in Camera Raw, do my basic kind of, settings first. I'm going to hit my 30 of vibrance. I'm going to hit saturations. Today, I'm going to go a little higher to 5, and I'm going to push my clarity up to 15. Remember, with people, I would normally never go as high as 15 on clarity. That's going to be pretty extreme, right? Sharpness at 60. Also, remove chromatic aberration, enable profile corrections. Good. So now I'm kind of got my basic set. So first thing I want to see, I'm going to come back and do just this first one, number 37. Let's really, oh yeah. See, now we get cool color. But I know that in the background, there's some orange back there, right? And so it's very subtle, but if I pull that orange up and even pull that red up, now I start to get in the yellow. I start to get a little bit more bump of things there. And if I come over here in Illuminance, I can actually make the background a tad lighter, which in this case, I'm kind of digging that, right? So now that I've got that in place, the real question is, do I want to shift it even more? Oh, and I do. Look at that, by pulling the tint over. Now that green is getting to be really green. But it needs a little boost here. So like I did yesterday, look, I'm going to bring those highlights up, and I'm going to pull the blacks down. Now I'm losing most of my background color, so let's try pulling the shadows down and see what we get. Yeah, that brings a little bit more in, and so I'm kind of liking that. Now, same thing as yesterday. If I hit that dehaze, oh yeah, that makes things pop even a little bit more. So now, what about composition? I want to try and stay in my 16:9 format since that's my thing, right? I'm going to go ahead kind of into here and tweak it even a little bit more. Yeah, we'll start there. This one, so now I already know that dehaze is having a cool effect. Highlights down, definitely bring the shadows up and push those blacks a little bit more. In fact, if I push those blacks way down, look at this, this is kind of cool now. I'm going to go ahead and lighten the image a little bit, and I'll pull those blacks down a little bit more. Yeah, see, I'm actually really digging that. And now I can go ahead and from a crop standpoint, let's see what we have to play with here. What I like about that right there is there is nothing obvious about what that is at all. All right, in here, so I seem to be having a lot of fun with the dehaze for this challenge. So that's where I'm going to go right out of the box. And I'm still not convinced that having the texture of these little silicone cubes was a smart idea. I really do think it would have been better if I had found something maybe that had the color, but was a little bit different. But I'm kind of liking where that's at, so we'll play with it. You know what? At the end of the day, the more I see this, it looks like a failed attempt at getting a water drop. So this one's just done. We're not even gonna play with that. This one, I think we can have some fun with. Yep, and that's exactly what I was counting on. So look at that. Pull up that dehaze. Now remember, can't say this enough times. We're doing abstracts, so don't watch this and think that every time you go process like a portrait, you should be grabbing that dehaze slider or anything like that. That would be a really bad idea, okay? You know, this is a situation where it's like all rules are off, gang. So we can really play with this. So look at that. If I lighten the image, but then pull those blacks really down, look at how that green just jumps out of that image, right? Now I'm going to come in here, do my crop. There it is. I'm kind of digging that. Actually, I'm kind of digging it right down there. Yeah. Next up on the top of the bottle, this is another one. This is, oh, but look at that. When I do the dehaze, I pick up some blue. I had no idea there was blue there. So now let's go into the saturation panel and let's really, really juice that blue. We got to juice the green, of course. Got to juice the yellow. Now we're getting some interesting stuff happening here, right? So let's go back. I want to push the clarity up a little bit more. What happens if even if I push texture up, that kind of gets interesting. We're going to pull the shadows, pull the blacks, and my goal is to really just get those little spots to glow. And I think for this one, I think this is actually a good opportunity for a square crop. And yeah, we're going to go right there. And then this last one, let's see here. I definitely want to go back to my 9x16. What do I get again with dehaze? Well, this is actually a really interesting texture. If we pull that way up and lighten up parts, oh yeah, that gets like really gritty. So yeah, I'm kind of digging that one too. We're going to give that one a 16:9 crop. Boom. All right. So that being said, I'm going to take all of these except for the water drop one. And we're going to go into Photoshop. You ready over there? Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to do my Photoshop bits and then I'm done. All right, gang, so we are in Photoshop, and now you're also going to see a good lesson in why you should take a little bit more time and effort and kind of clean and prep your subject matter. I did this in a hurry this morning. That's a bad excuse. So, you know, I've got a lot of little spots in that on most of these images that I'm going to want to clean up here because it matters. It'll make a difference in kind of how good the image looks, how crisp and unique and interesting it looks. For me, the dust is, you know, kind of very much a distraction. So, you know, in my defense, I grabbed it and I used it in a pinch, but ideally, yeah, should have taken the time to clean it up. Right? At the end of the day, nobody made me take the picture that way. So now I'm paying the price and I'm having to tidy things up. So I'm going to go through here, clean up the stuff that just looks, you know, sloppy. I mean, some of this is just specular highlights, and that's okay. The rest of it, clearly it looks like, you know, dust sitting in places, right? So I showed you yesterday how I do my dodging and burning on that gray layer. So I'm going to hit my shortcut today. That's F2 for me. That puts in the neutral gray. And I'm going to go ahead. I've got the opacity on this gradient set up at around 71. I'm going to burn some things down a little bit just to really hit that mood. Okay, and whoops, didn't mean to hit that again. Let's take that out. And that's kind of where I'm at with that one. I'm digging that. I'm just going to do a little snapshot layer. There it is. Now on this one, kind of same thing. I'm still, you know, the more I'm working on this one's probably one of my least favorite out of the batch today. I'll be completely honest. But it helps if you hit the right button on your tablet, right? There we go. So, am I on the wrong tool? What do we got here? Oh, on the wrong layer. There we go. That'll do it. Okay. So I'm using the healing brush. I've got it really small. It's 14 pixels, 100%. I want it to grab things. I don't want it to blur things. I'm going to take out the white spots, take out the dark spots. Try and get rid of anything that's kind of a giveaway that it's dirty or sloppy. You know, you got to look for all those little details. And again, you know, it would have been ideal and better to take the time before I shot these. But since I didn't, and I won't lie, these highlights that are down here are bugging me. I find them as a distraction. So I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to paint those out. There we go. And let's see, any of the crazy bad spots. I'm going to make my healing brush a little bit bigger. Go through here. And again, hit a couple of these spots. Just to see what we can kind of clean up. All right, and I think that one's done. Now, for this one, there's a lot going on here. So I kind of really dig this. I do want to clean up the scratches. We'll make those go away, right? Because scratches kind of start to, you know, make a giveaway in terms of what's going on or what type of material this thing potentially is. So I want to get rid of as many of the scratches as I can so that they're not obvious. All right, I'll get rid of some of these little dots over here. This is some scuff marks on the bottom of the bottle. I'm going to take them out too. Again, anything I can do to kind of make it less obvious what this thing is. That's really kind of the goal. In fact, for some of this, I think I could get away with the healing brush, and it doesn't have to be at 100%. You'll notice I'm using it at a fairly low, well, actually it's at 79%, sorry. So it's not low, but it's not at 100%. These real hot white specular highlights over on this side I'm going to get rid of because I don't want to steal attention. I want to keep things kind of, you know, into the middle for sure. But I'm going to go through, try and get rid of more of the scuff marks that are there. Just kind of not obliterating them. Remember, I'm only at 79 opacity, but I want to kind of tone that down a little bit. I'm not making a realistic interpretation of the bottom of this bottle, right? I am making an abstract with the bottom of this bottle. So I can, you know, tweak it, change it, modify it pretty much however I want. There's nothing wrong with that, if you will. In fact, I am going to go ahead and take this highlight out completely. So I'll start that with the clone stamp, then go ahead with the healing brush. Yeah, I just like the way that fits a little bit better. So, and now even with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit my gray layer, and I want to kind of darken some sections down. So I'm going to, you know, kind of bring the attention in to this middle spot down here, right? And then I'm even going to try, and this may not work at all, I'm going to do a blank layer there. I'm going to put kind of a middle green color in there like so. But then I'm going to go ahead and start to hit my blend modes just to see if there's anything that might be kind of interesting along the way. And I'm thinking by the time we get down to overlay, we might see something that has a possible, ooh, so that makes it really, really dramatic. So without it, with it, and there's soft light. Actually, that's a little bit more functional yet, and that's what I'm going to style. I'm gonna just dial that soft light down. So it's adding just a bit more bump of a color. Actually, that's doing nothing. Okay, so let's try hard light, vivid light, linear light, pin. Very little change there. Hard mix, difference, exclusion, subtract, divide, hue. And actually, I'll tell you why I'm liking what I'm seeing in hue. There's saturation, color. Color actually gets it for me. Color's going to be the one. Color's taking all the other colors out. It's pulling those yellows out and everything. So this is straight up green. Now I'm going to go into hue and saturation. I'm going to jack that saturation even more. Pull the color or the brightness down on it just a tad. And now if we want, I could really play around here and I could go to a completely different color. In fact, I'm going to do the purple thing there, right? And then just to play around, let's make sure I'm on the mask and let's turn that off. And I think what I'm going to do here, nice big brush, opacity around 60, and I want to paint some of the green back in. So we're going to do a purple and a bright green combo here, right? But we're going to be really selective in terms of what purple we get rid of and what green we keep. So get some of this green here. It's in the middle. Whoops. Don't want that one. There we go. Good. And then we'll bring these greens back over here around the outside. There we go. I want to get, again, just little hints, because now what I'm doing also is I'm adding like just crazy depth to it. Well, that same spot again. It's not working well for me. And add another layer and a brush this time, and about 260 or so. Bigger yet. We're gonna go 300 and some pixels. I'm gonna throw some color in there, flash of color there, a little bit more color down there, and maybe a oomph of color there. Now, problem with this is, all right, it's really kind of ugly, right? But what I want to do first is go filter blur, and I'm going to do Gaussian blur, and we're going to blur it like big time, right? So you can't really see the lines that I just drew, right? So now it kind of becomes like really kind of weird and dreamy. And then kind of the same thing, I'm going to go along here and I'm going to look to see where can I get just a little bit of that color. Actually, difference works really, really well if I just tone that down. And boom. So, you know, again, there is an abstract from the bottom of the bottle where I've tweaked the colors, added, you know, some spots of color to it just to make it, you know, a little bit more interesting. In fact, I'm going to turn that one off and get rid of that layer. The more I'm looking at this, I want to dial that down a little bit more. And I'm not entirely sure. Huh, that's interesting. If we do divide, yeah, no, we shouldn't do divide. Yeah, so let's go back up here. I really think that lighten is going to be the answer ultimately. Yeah, because I want just a hint. Yeah, that's so much better. Right there. Good deal. All right, this one. Let's add a layer in. pretty much what this one needs is to isolate some of the detail. So I'm going to kind of burn down this outside. I'm going to burn down this outside really hard, right? So you notice a lot of what I'm doing for these abstracts is I'm kind of recreating the lighting in post, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's, makes it interesting. And now while I'm there, I'm also going to burn down a few spots. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wanting. And again, I'm kind of really digging that, actually. Now, the big question is, what do we do, or what do we get, if we take that red and let's do the same thing that we did on the last image and see what happens, right? We can play around with, see now that we're doing that, we lighten this up a little bit. It's like we put a red filter over it, right? And, I am curious. Let's just go ahead and stick a levels layer in here. Bring the highlights up a little bit more. Pull the middles down. And I really like that. I think that's interesting, right? So we'll go with that right there. And next one. So this one, we got to do a little bit of healing brush because we've got some junk and scratches. They're going to be a distraction, right? So, it's worth taking a few extra seconds. Now, obviously, some of this stuff I could have cleaned up beforehand, and ultimately I should have, yes. But the rest of it, clean it up in post. Again, this is a situation where kind of normal rules don't apply. And besides, we can all use a little bit of Photoshop practice, right, gang? So don't be beating yourself up too much if you miss something when you shoot it, but do fix it later. The goal is you keep pushing yourself and you keep working towards getting to a point where you're getting everything right in camera, or everything that is possible to get right in camera, right? That's always going to be the goal. It makes for less work. So today, ultimately, I did not provide the best example of that because I did not clean these things as much as I should have. So I'm showing you exactly what I do to punish myself when that happens. I'm going to fix this stuff, period, right? That's important. So, okay, we've got that. Let me add a gray layer. I'm going to go to my normal gradient. I want to make sure that it's black. And again, I'm going to kind of, whoops, went the wrong way there completely. Let's try that all over again. First of all, I don't need it to be 71. So I want to kind of burn down some of these sections just to, again, to really bring the focus in to the middle. And I am going to add a levels layer on top here. I'm going to pull the middle up just a bit, but then bring the top down just to really, really increase the contrast on this. Okay. And that's looking pretty good there. I'm going to go back. So, whoops, healing tool. A couple more things that I still think should be tidied up here. We'll get those. That's it. Good. I'm not digging these highlights right here. They're bugging me. So let's take them out. So I think we need to do that batch with the healing tool. With the clone stamp. Just to make things a little cleaner. All right, gang. So that is that one. I'm going to fill a little of that in. Awesome. And by the way, I am working with a pen and a tablet. If you haven't done it yet, it's a game changer. I highly recommend it if you're going to do any kind of retouching or photo manipulation. It really, really is the way to go. Okay. All right, last image. Same thing here. We got to clean up some stuff. So let's get the, whoops, wrong layer, there we go. Let's get the healing brush going. Hold on. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so we get the healing brush going. Clean up these little spots. Okay. And that's it. Okay. Actually, that end is kind of cool. We're going to leave that there. So as I'm wrapping this last one up here, I do want to point something out to you guys. You have seen this today, you know, pretty much in real time. You know, it's interesting. It's taken something like this, you know, world situation that we have right now to get people to say, hey, I really need to practice more with my camera and I need to set aside time. And you know what? If that's what it takes, I'm glad. I mean, I really am. But basically, this set of pictures I have done in less than 45 minutes real time. Okay. So, you know, I just want to point out to you, you know, it's going to take me longer to edit the video together than it did for me to take the pictures. So I just want to point that out to you that, you know, look, it requires effort to be able to improve your photography, but it doesn't have to take tons and tons of time. Just pick up the camera. The pictures don't have to win awards. If you're taking the time to think through, buddy, get down. Get down. Get down. Buddy. So I want to point out one thing, gang. This video will take me longer to edit than it took me to shoot the pictures. You saw me do this pretty much in real time. It was less than 45 minutes, much less than 45 minutes to be able to do these shots. You know, it's unfortunate that it's taken this turn of world events to get people to say, hey, I should put more effort into practicing and now's a good time to do it. Practice doesn't have to take a lot of time. When you're practicing, don't worry if you're creating epic images. I'm on day 2. I don't have a single epic image yet, and I may not. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want you to realize that the more that you actually just apply these skills, the more that you try things, experiment. You're seeing me just experimenting with things that are way out of the box. The more you do it, the more you learn, the better you get, because you're adding more tools to your toolbox. So our shots for today, here we are. We've got 6 of them. We'll go through them again. Here's the last one with a spout. Another one with the side of the spout. This one is the back of the Apple TV remote with the spring that's in the plunger. This one is from the bottom of the bottle where I added that purple color and really jacked up the green. This one is from the top of the bottle where we picked up a little bit of the blue. And then last but not least, just the back of the Apple remote. So I have to pick one shot for the day. That's tough. I think for me today, my one shot is going to be a tie. So I'm going between this one here and this one here. So gang, as always, your turn. I can't wait to see your pictures. You guys have been tagging me on your posts on Instagram and Facebook. You've been adding pictures to my group. If you're not a member of my group yet, make sure you join. Link is in the description below. But whatever you do, stay safe, stay healthy, pick up your camera and shoot something, gang, because your best shot, it's your next shot. Adios.